we are especially honored to have with us today two trailblazing women presidents, Sangeeta Barooah Pisharoty, the first woman president of Press Club of India, and our very own first woman president of Kohima Press Club, Alice Yoshe. I am also truly honored to welcome our conclave speakers, whose presence here today signifies a commitment to ethical, innovative, and impactful journalism. I warmly welcome you all, Ma'am Monalisa Chankija, Pradeep Panjobam from Manipur, Gitartha Pathak, President of Indian Journalists Union, Karma Paljor from Sikkim, Raymond Karmujai from Meghalaya, Dhiren A. Sadapam from Manipur, Van Lalrema Vantal from Mizoram, Utpal Parashar from Assam, Ranju Dodam from Arunachal Pradesh, Debraj Dev from Tripura, and Medolenyo Ambrosia, who will be representing the Kohima Press Club at the conclave. My heartfelt welcome to the presidents and colleagues of Dimapur Press Club, Mohok Chung Press Club, Naga Journalists Union Manipur, Dr. Joy Tirmoy Hazarika, the Vice President of Northeast Working Journalists Union, the traveling team of journalists from Ahmedabad who have also joined us. Thank you for being here today. We are also extremely honored to have the editors and staff of different newspapers and media organizations. A warm welcome to all of you. We also acknowledge the presence of Madame Kevilenyo, Commissioner and Secretary of School Education and SCERT. We extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests and officials of the Department of Information and Public Relations, PIB, and all ranks of government officials present. We are equally delighted to have representatives from the Angami Public Organization, several other organizations, and a host of people whose names I won't be able to call out individually, and for which I seek your apology. But it's truly wonderful to see so many familiar faces, all colleagues and new friends, presidents, executives, and members of the Kohima Press Club, past and present, those of you who have cancelled other plans or traveled the distance to be here today. We thank you all and we sincerely value your presence today because this event would not be the same without you here. And so, welcome everyone.
Good morning. Silver Jubilee greetings from the Kohima Press Club to every one of you. I feel quite overwhelmed with emotions seeing you all here today and all the good wishes that we have received for our silver anniversary. I convey our deep gratitude to all our well-wishers who are here, as well as to those who couldn't make it. Journalism in Nagaland had been in existence as early as the 1930s, and there were journalist collectives, but the actual conversations to form a press club took off in the early part of 2000. It took many rounds of informal meetings among a handful of like-minded journalists based in Kohima, sometimes held in a cramped corner of a newspaper office, sometimes in a small press room at the telegraph office, now the BSNL office, and at other times at the then popular eatery called Kucheje Hotel near the local ground, Kohima, for the idea of setting up of a press club in Kohima, the state capital, to take root. Launched formally on 20th January 2001, the Kohima Press Club emerged from a shared conviction that the health of a democratic society rests on a free, vibrant, and ethically grounded press. Since then, for a quarter of a century, the club has consistently nurtured the principles of the Fourth Estate, promoting ethical standards, professional fellowship, media education, and critical public interest dialogue. Besides these overarching objectives, the Kohima Press Club strives to maintain a liaison with various government agencies whose actions directly affect the media. Also, besides our professional activities, the Kohima Press Club also undertakes charity work by taking part in visitation of homes, hospitals, and other institutions on the occasions of Republic Day and Independence Day every year. Over the years, the press club has grown into a body with a gradual increase in numbers. Today we have 66 members in total. As we celebrate our 25th anniversary today, we look back and remember the steps that were taken to build this club to where it stands today. We remember our pioneering members and their visionary leaderships. We pay our respects to those who came before us and those who left before us. I would like to take this time to make a special mention of one of our former presidents, late Xavier Ruta, my immediate predecessor, who was a former colleague, a mentor, a friend, and a big brother to me and to many others here. How I wish he had lived to see this day. But I believe he's up there right now, along with our other friends, other members who have gone before us, looking down at us right now, beaming with pride. As the Kohima Press Club observes its 25th anniversary today on the theme Traversing 25 Years of Storytelling, Inspiring the Future, we seek to celebrate this legacy while preparing for the next chapter of responsible storytelling in Nagaland and beyond. I would like to briefly glance on the second part of our anniversary theme. If you would kindly indulge with me for a few moments, I request all of you present here to use your imagination and visualize with me a landscape view. I'm sure you would agree with me that the complete beauty and mosaic of the landscape is not just a single tree or a single thing, but it comprises of a variety of features. Our story consists of many ups and downs of a landscape. As we look at our theme in the landscape, let us emphasize our minds on the variant features. There is a stream of cascading fresh water over its course in the midst of the verdant slopes and vegetation. I want us to focus on that cascading river, which will ultimately flow into the big ocean. This river is made up of smaller streams, representing the streams of life. We want to inspire, like the story of the rivulets that give life and hope. Let's not forget that this landscape is also prone to wildfires and storms. But let us focus on the lifeline and gently tap on it. May the vision that we are left with help us to look ahead. May this momentous occasion be a memorable part of a landscape that take us forward. May this gathering be a spot of inspiration as we look forward to the outcome of the conclave, which is scheduled to be held later. Thank you.
25 years, as we all know, is a long time in the life of an organization. And being in your midst, it still feels like yesterday. Today, we especially remember the pioneers, the visionary leaders who sacrificed so much to leave a legacy that is so rich, and we cherish that. Today is also a day to introspect and retrospect how far we have come, the arduous journey that we have traversed, and the milestones achieved. We also need to be grateful to God for our lives and the opportunity to be a part of the fourth estate, which is one of the main pillars of democracy. On a day like this, we're also grateful to the present media fraternity who are striving so hard to keep the flag high and to surge ahead. Thank you to all of you. A day like this also makes me feel very nostalgic, thinking of the past members, some of them who passed on. We remember them so fondly on a day like this. Some years down the line, in fact, a few decades past, we used to meet in the Northeast Herald office in a corner for our meetings and all that. And then we later shifted to the Department of Public Relations office. So we used to have our meetings there. And now to think of it, the KPC has come a long way because you have a permanent structure coming up. So we are so proud of that. And we believe that this building will be a welcoming space for each of you and also welcome people from all walks of life to share healthy dialogues without isms. When I was offered to speak on behalf of the seniors, I was at a loss of words because I felt that there would be many more people, my seniors especially, who could articulate better and could make today a memorable, have a memorable impact on a day like this. But anyhow, I thank you for this opportunity. And today I also remember my colleagues, Anle Zolekire, Atu Lejetsu, Daiho, Xavier Rutsa, two of them are deceased. And I would say that it was a memorable tenure working with them. We had many ups and downs. And if you would allow me, I also want to share a few personal experiences. Some thoughts, perhaps it would connect with you, or some may not also, but I wanted to take the opportunity to share a few things. Working in the media, like be it print or electronic, it is a very rare and honorable privilege, I would say, because it has given us a very good platform to connect with people, to share our experiences, and also it has given us an identity and shaped our lives over the years. It has also helped us to build many relationships, many of which I cherish even to this day. And any day, like whenever I meet my friends from the media, even though I've branched out, it is always beautiful connecting with you, picking up the pieces. And a day like this also reminds me of how, that matters and how relevant it is even today. It is said that once a journalist, always a journalist. I think it holds true for many of us who have branched out. I reminisce the old days. In fact, my best years foraging for news, exclusives, chasing deadlines, trying to get the gist of long speeches, finding news angles. And being a journalist, we do live one day at a time. Anytime we are on call, on our toes, as anything could happen anytime. We worked under a lot of stress because we had to cover all sorts of news. In those days, there was no specialized beat, so we had to cover just about everything that's happening around us. Then, coupled with it, it was the lack of manpower. So, we had to receive press releases, type, edit, and send it to our head offices, which is usually based in Dimapur. And with connectivity issues, mobile connectivity, we had to struggle a lot. And sometimes it seemed like forever sending our news across, especially when there are lots of photos. Journalism was a 24/7 job, which did not pay well. I remember my first job at Northeast Herald, a news daily. I got paid a meager 1,400 rupees. I don't know if you'll agree with me, like most of it. Yeah, so it was so meager. And the amount of, labor and time that went into, being a part of Northeast Herald was like quite a lot, unimaginable. The whole day, even, late nights, like we used to be there. And once I remember my dad asking me how much I was paid. So I shared with him, and he said, Vibu, you better stay home. I'll pay you that amount. So, yeah, that's that. That was the sad reality. But the passion to write and the thrill of seeing our bylines in the stories, that was something that hit different. And I still remember my first cover story with my, byline in bold. It was a story on Tsumremong, the premier festival of the Ao Nagas. So that really made my day. My happiness knew no bounds. It was worth it, and many such experiences followed later. Another side, the disappointment of not seeing our stories, was another matter. The morning papers defined how our day went. Personally, like those days, women were very less in number. So sometimes I used to go cover some big events, stand in front of thousands of people, clicking pictures, and the next day, the stories were not there. So it was so embarrassing. I couldn't imagine. So I faced that as well. And once a press release, feather in the cap became feather in the tail. So I wouldn't say more than that, okay? Such things also happen. We have seen such days too. So working in the media has built many relationships and broken many too. Because we work under duress and we receive veiled threats also. And the advantage or disadvantage, I would say, of living in a close-knit society and working in the media is totally different. But we try to find balance in the midst of all those challenges. And at times, we were also pulled out for missing out on stories, which was pretty embarrassing. Today, I'm so glad to be in your midst and to see so many new faces, and especially women who are surging in the media. I really appreciate your efforts. I especially remember the assembly sessions when we came back to our offices with truckloads of, information. And it was a matter of life and death, to skim through the most important news and to give it out the next day. It involved a lot of hard work and scheming. The coverage of beauty pageants, concerts that delved late into the nights was another aspect of reporting I remember. And I always felt that we journalists live two lives. One is the glamorous side, rubbing shoulders with the who's who of society. And the other side is, working dead in the night, not having transport to go back to our homes. And the VIPs, the powerful people, they whiz by in their luxury cars. So that was one aspect that really hit hard, when I was a part of journalism. Later on, electronic media happened and the pressure grew to deliver. Working with a few media institutions based in the capital, like we were under a lot of pressure. Today, I'm very glad to see Sir Karma also. I worked with CNN, IBN also once as a stringer from Nagaland. So yeah, so those were the pressure. We had a lot of pressure, and those days the stories needed to have a shelf life because it needed to traverse a lot. And we had to reach out to somebody in the railway station or even in the airport, to send some news which are very urgent. And as you're all aware, the kind of news that make headlines in national media are the intermittent factional clashes those days. So those were the hardest to cover. We had to risk our lives, being in the midst of all that. But God's grace brought us through all of that. Now things may be different. Your challenges will be different. Okay, to cut it short, on behalf of the past executives, I would like to express our appreciation to the current leadership, led by our Madam Alice Hyosho and her team, for her achievements and for bringing in many milestone achievements like the Media Fellowship, then the KPC Impact Award, and of course the physical structure, the permanent building that is coming up. Yeah. And we pray that God will renew your vision. He'll give you courage and commitment to uphold the truth and practice ethical journalism at all cost. May these 25 years be a reminder to all of you for all that you have accomplished, the milestones achieved, and inspire you to move ahead. The best is yet to come. Thank you.
First and foremost, I have to thank the Kohima Press Club, the organizers of this milestone event, for inviting me to participate in it. I'm truly honored. I'm truly honored. I also see some of the best names from the media fraternity of the Northeast invited to speak at the event. Many of them are my friends. It only confirms that the Kohima Press Club's endeavor to mark its Silver Jubilee in a befitting fashion, that is, widening the circle of deliberations and engagement with people from neighboring states and the years of experience and exposure to reflect on the times that we are in as far as journalism is concerned. 25 years of KFC is perhaps the right occasion for such an exercise. So, congratulations again to KPC for celebrating it in the way it is doing it. I'm truly impressed. I'm also told that the entire decoration, everything has been done by the members. How great it is. Yeah, fabulously done, even though they have only over 60 members. In the Press Club of India that I represent have about 10,000 members. And yet we perhaps may not be able to organize it the way that they are doing it seamlessly. And congratulations. I was listening to Rita, I was listening to Alice Yu, to her. It was amazing. I was just thinking about whatever they were saying, such things that we could connect. Because I'm 30 years old in journalism. This is my 31st year. And I was also thinking I could just connect with you when you were talking about how best to send a story. So, yeah, these are such realities that we have lived through. And now today, technology rules us. So it's amazing times. So 25 years is nothing, but it's also so much. We all know practicing journalism has never been easy. It has never been easy. It's not news for us. It's never been easy. The journey has been fraught with many challenges, even though we are a democracy. In my last 30 years as a journalist, I've seen it only going on a downward spiral. And I'm saying this with full responsibility. What has set the ball rolling, to my mind, towards that nosedive was primarily the faulty financial model of practicing journalism in India. Press is called the fourth pillar of democracy, not for nothing. If MLAs and MPs are the representative of the people, in the assemblies and in the parliament in a democracy, it is the press that keeps those elected members accountable to the public. Therefore, our allegiance lies only and only with the public. Public interest is our only interest. And to do our work effectively, we have to ask questions to the powers be, to the government of the day. That's our job. We have nothing personal there. Though our job is to keep democracy vibrant by keeping the government of the day accountable, and we are the world's largest democracy, mind you, so it's all the more applicable to us. We have, however, failed to do the most basic thing that would have kept the spine of media houses intact, and thereby journalism. It was to put together a financial model for our media houses. Unlike, say, in parts of Europe, US, Canada, Australia, and many other parts, in some countries of Far East too. Some such countries even have funds set aside from state budget to do journalism. It's done only to keep the press free from any pressure of the government of the day and keep it answerable only to the public on whose money it is run. Instead, in India, we allowed the vacuum to be filled up by a corporate model of financing our newspapers and TV stations. So in the early years of independence, though we had industrial houses funding newspapers, the reins fully remained with the editors. Journalistic freedom was barely compromised. That could happen because both the owners and the editors respected and acknowledged the fact that press has a social duty to do. It has a job linked to the Constitution, to the health of democracy, which is by the people, for the people, and of the people. Sadly, in the last 1.5 decades or 2 decades, we saw a gradual crumbling of those values all across the country. It started with Delhi. More corporate houses entered the arena. More editors lost their freedom to act as they should to keep public interest journalism shining. So instead, the legacy media began serving the government of the day, be it at the center or in the states. This became the model. It is to serve their own business interest, mostly, not journalism. So members of public might have got hooked to TV channels, the daily news fights and all that, but it never spoke about the issues that concerned them. It never did that. It moved on. And we watched that happening. Worse, we also allowed politicians and their families, who would have certainly a vested interest, to own or finance media houses, run papers, websites, news channels, whatever. So in the last few years, we have seen fortification of this model even more. So much so that the line between journalism and public relations have nearly merged. So as if there is no need anymore for the government's DIPR, because media houses are already doing that job as a quid pro quo for their business and political interest. So there is no journalism there. Dregs of society are often given space in their so-called primetime debates. We have seen this. So there's nothing in public interest there. Additionally, we saw a number of laws and rules being brought to weaken whatever is left of journalism in the country. With a lot of concern, I have to mention here one of the latest steps that's been taken, which is the DPDP Act. When the draft of the act, the bill, was presented to the committee, it had a line which said there will be journalistic exemption Like all rules, all laws in this country, if you are using it for journalism, which is in public interest, of course, so those laws don't apply. But when finally the law was passed in parliament, mind you, at a time when, for the first time in parliamentary democracy, we saw a large number of opposition MPs were suspended. And that was the time that important bill was passed, turned into a law, the country, and that line was removed. So there is no journalistic exemption now as far as DPDP Act is concerned. This is the Digital Security Act, Digital Privacy and Digital Security Act. So in the name of privacy and digital security, journalistic exemption has been taken away. So today I'll just give you an example what happens if journalistic exemption is taken away from such an act. Tomorrow there is a faulty bridge that falls, and we have to do a story. We actually have to take permission from the contractor whether can we use his name or her name in the story. Will anybody allow? Tomorrow there is a corruption allegation against someone. We have to go and take permission from that alleged corrupt person. Can we use your name in the story? Will someone allow? So this is the state of affairs when the DPDP Act unrolls, which is already an act and the rules have been set. So this is what is happening. So another thing that I see in the DPDP Act is also the RTI, which is a tool journalists like me use to get authentic information at an age when there is massive fake news circulating among us. To get authentic information from the government to file stories, that has also been diluted in the name of privacy. We already have an exemption in the RTI Act that if any information that is not to serve public purpose cannot be shared. So it is with a lot of responsibility people who give RTI answers act. So, but now the DPDP Act has diluted that part too, in the name of privacy. So if you file, suppose, let's go back to the fallen bridge story again. Tomorrow, if I file an RTI in that particular department, say PWD, and I ask who was given that contract, can you give us the papers to show who were the other competitors? It may not be given, because DPDP Act will be cited. So one level of accountability of the government, of the people, whoever comes to power. Today it's one party, tomorrow will be another. But the public is at the core of a democracy. That's been taken away by denying information that public deserves to know in a democracy. Mind you, we are the world's largest democracy, and our dear Prime Minister also says that this is the mother of all democracy, not just the world's largest democracy. So think of the laws and the rules that are coming now that are making journalism difficult, becoming challenges for media freedom. So this RTI dilution is a big challenge that is coming to us. The other things that we see is technology. Technology as a challenge that includes even AI. It is already threatening to take away so many of our jobs in the newsroom. People, you were talking about how we were struggling to send stories at one time, and today just click away, Yeah, so it can be sent. But that also means so many jobs in between may just come in the way, So that's a huge challenge, technology today, okay? Then there are a lot of these cases that get filed against journalists. If they are doing journalism, cases get filed. And particularly I see in the smaller towns and cities, if they get filed, then there's every chance that your owners may just ask you to leave. So as if it's your personal fight. You're doing journalism, but okay. So this is something we're getting to see. We saw it during emergency. Now more and more we are seeing it return. The challenges that I'm talking about of journalism that's happening. Okay, and these are things we need to talk when so many journalists are in a room, because it is relevant to all of us. So what should then be the prescription to make the situation better? I would say Karma would endorse support independent media. Because I see most independent media that are working, they may be small in number, but they're doing journalism, and mostly in the digital space. Today, you have to acknowledge that it is the digital media that is taking up the challenge of doing journalism in this country. Okay? In emergency, we always talk about how Ramnath Goenka stood up, and he and at a great cost, because his press was not even allowed to run. Electricity was cut off by the Indira Gandhi government. Okay, so but he stood up. So, and it's not that those days also everybody was aligning to protection of journalism, like what Indian Express was doing then. There were so many who were aligning with the government of the day. But what we remember now, when we look back after 40, 45 years, we only remember those who did journalism. So this, in the last 15, 20 years that we are seeing, it's a downfall, mainly because of the corporate model that is coming in, politicians getting in, the money they control. So editors' voices are going. When we look back, say 30, 40 years later, we'll only be perhaps talking about digital media in India. So my request to everybody is to support independent media, not just supporting just like that by reading and circulating their stories, but financing them, subscribe to them. Even if you pay 100 rupees a month, you will actually be doing a great job. You will be actually supporting democracy. You will be doing that. I'll just tell you one little thing why I'm saying this. It's because when I was working for The Wire, we started this model where we started asking people to give even $2, 2 rupees. Don't take it for free. We are not putting anything behind the paywall. We'll not do that. News should be free. But leave 2 rupees. People would not leave 2 rupees, they'll leave $100. So if 1 lakh people pay that much, see what difference it can make. I was so proud that my salary was coming from public money. It was not coming from any corporate. So I was completely answerable to the public, not to anybody else. Okay? So this is a model. Then others followed too. We saw Scroll asking for similar thing, for News Laundry. Then we saw News Minute. So many others now also ask. Okay? Because legacy media has a lot of money and they're not speaking for public. They have so many other industrial interests to protect and things like that. So they're not doing. So this is something we need to do. I was so happy when Karma started East Mojo, concentrating only on Northeast. What a move. Okay? Support such media, because it will only talk about you. It will be only, its allegiance will only be towards us, to the region. We need to have such strong voices. And this will finally help strengthen democracy of this great country that we all belong to. Okay? And so, anyway, in this scenario of doom, I took over as the president of the Press Club of India, the country's largest journalist body. So in my term, I promise upholding the right of the journalists to do their work without pressure, will be my first priority, which will in fact be a continuation of the previous managing committee's agenda, of which I was also a part as its vice president. Just to give an example of the times that we are in, the Press Club of India in the last 2 years have issued a record number of press releases to condemn state action against journalists doing journalism. It's an indicator of the challenges that we are facing today to protect media freedom. One other aim of my team will be to set up a legal cell through which we can help our journalists across the country who face cases against them doing journalism. But their owners leave them to tackle it on their own as if it's their personal fight. So that will include Nagaland too. Our aim is also to hold free workshops where journalists are trained by experts for free on how to keep up with technology, including how to ensure their digital security. That's very, very important because we cannot do without our gadgets now. So there has to be some sort of security lineup there. We would love to collaborate, of course, with Kohima Press Club if it shows interest in holding similar workshops for its member journalists. It goes to Dimapur, Mokokchung, everywhere, okay? Our aim is also to set up a federation of press clubs which hold elections. There are currently about 22 press clubs which are elected bodies, which hold elections every 1 or 2 or 3 years. So that means the representative, the voice of the members of those clubs. So we want to bring in a mother body of all the elected press clubs, which is secretariat at the Press Club of India. I'll also be one of the members, founding members. So we are planning this coming together of all press clubs, of all voices of journalists. It's because it's time, I feel, we join hands to secure our right to do journalism, right to work given by our Constitution. A work that keeps the citizens of the country at its core. I would like to take this opportunity to invite the Kohima Press Club to join the Federation and add strength to this endeavor. Lastly, my election to the post of DPCI president, it went viral across the country. I realized why. It's primarily because I became the first woman to hold that post in the institution's 68-year history. I, however, said in some press interviews that I'm glad I could break that glass ceiling, but in my region, in the Northeast, we have formidable women journalists who have already held the top post in press clubs, be it in Guwahati Press Club, Sikkim Press Club, and now Kohima Press Club. A round of applause, please. Not only that, in the Northeast, we also have had women editors of newspapers, which is a rarity in mainstream media. One such woman, I think, is Mona Lisa Chankiza Baido, who is soon going to be here with us. Not just an editor, editor owner. Okay? So I used to work for The Hindu also. And once I remember telling this to Malini Pathasati, who's like the editor and owner at that time. I said, I know another woman who's like you. And she was like quite surprised and asked me, who is she? I said, that's Mona Lisa Sangeeta, far away in Nagaland. Okay? So that's what we are. Okay? They are the real trendsetters. They are the path breakers who showed the way despite facing many challenges. So it was never easy. In mainstream newsrooms, I see only the digital media again, ceding that space to women, including the post of the Chief of National News Bureau. When I became the Chief of News Bureau at The Wire some years ago, I became the first woman from the Northeast to hold that post at a Delhi newsroom. I must hold up here also something which is very, very important, that I could win the post only because the male members of my fraternity, whose percentage is of course more than the women members, the Press Club of India, ensured that the anomaly was corrected. I sincerely thank them once again for that. However, in the Northeast, the male members of the journalistic fraternity helped break those glass ceilings in quite a few press clubs much before than the country's largest press club did. So I applaud you for that. May we continue to hold our own and show the path of light and hope to others. Thank you.